Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney. Today is Tuesday, October 27th. I've got your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Thank you so much for choosing to be here to get filled in on everything that's impacting you here in Northeast Ohio. We start with national news. Last night was an historic night. Justice Amy Coney Barrett was officially confirmed to replace the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court, filling that vacancy. Now there are again 9 justices seated on the highest court in the country. That passed the Senate by a vote of 52 to 48. It was almost entirely along party lines. The one Republican who voted against the confirmation of Judge Barrett was Susan Collins, the senator for Maine. Now, if you recall, the senator for Alaska, Lisa Murkowski, said that she would not vote for the confirmation. She voted against bringing the vote to the Senate floor, but when the vote did happen, she voted in favor of confirming Justice Barrett. And Justice Barrett was administered an oath at the White House yesterday. She'll be administered another oath today, which will then make it officially official, and she'll be able to sit on the court and fulfill the duties of her new lifetime position for the 48-year-old justice. Now, this has been highly contentious along party lines, and I think the reactions of our Ohio senators and representatives really lay out exactly the arguments that have been made on both sides of the aisle. So we'll take a look at that. So let's start with the people who actually voted on the confirmation of Justice Barrett. Senator Rob Portman, who is a Republican, he voted yes to confirm Justice Barrett, said that she is exceptionally qualified to serve on the Supreme Court and that he was proud to support her confirmation. He says that he has no doubt that she will serve the American people with honor and distinction. Senator Sherrod Brown, on the other hand, who is a Democrat, voted against the confirmation of Justice Barrett and said this: "Every single senator who votes tonight to confirm Amy Coney Barrett is willing to risk taking away health care for millions of people and eliminating protections for pre-existing conditions. Watch closely." What Senator Brown is referring to there is the fact that a case is expected to come before the court on the constitutionality of Obamacare, which did give health care coverage to millions of Americans and, if invalidated, would take that coverage away. Now moving to the House of Representatives, which did not have a say in the confirmation of Justice Barrett, but Representative Jim Jordan from Ohio, who is a Republican, basically said that with Barrett's confirmation, the Constitution was protected. Now, Representative Marcy Kaptur, who is a Democrat, said that the process by which this happened was full of hypocrisy, injustice, and she called it the worst that we've come to expect from partisan Washington. She mentioned the fact that it is absolutely unprecedented that there would be a nomination to a confirmation in 30 days, and mentioned the fact that we are in a national pandemic and just 8 days before a very contentious presidential election. No Supreme Court justice has ever been confirmed this close to an upcoming election. Representative Kaptur said that this proves that Republicans aren't driven even by their own espoused values, but rather, quote, pure political expediency. Representative Tim Ryan in the House of Representatives is also a Democrat. He pointed out that more than 13 million Americans are unemployed right now, and more than 200,000 Americans have died, and people are begging for help from Congress. And yet Congress was not able to put its differences aside in order to provide COVID-19 relief, and instead focused its efforts on confirming Justice Barrett. He said that they dropped everything to confirm a, quote, extremist justice to the court just days before the election. Representative Ryan said that he is disappointed in his Republican colleagues, and they continue to refuse to focus on the critical issue and the American people and the relief that they need. Now, here in Ohio, our Lieutenant Governor John Husted said that the Senate fulfilled its responsibility to consent and give the president's nomination of a Supreme Court justice a fair hearing, and also to confirm that justice. He says that Justice Barrett has proven she is qualified and that her character and intellect have earned the respect of people of all judicial philosophies. Our Governor Mike DeWine applauded the Senate majority for moving forward with the confirmation. He called Justice Barrett both highly qualified and highly respected, and said that she will be an excellent addition to the country's highest court. And our Attorney General Dave Yost said that when the, quote, dissonance of 2020 is only a distant memory of the aged future generations of lawyers, and that They will quote Justice Barrett as a remarkable principled jurist with admiration for her intellect and wisdom on the nation's highest court. Now, Democrats are concerned about future rulings on abortion, on the Affordable the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, and also potentially even this upcoming presidential election. Now, only time will tell what Justice Barrett will do in her role as now a justice on the highest court in the land, the United States Supreme Court. Now, as we are talking about the election being so close, it is now just 8 days away. Today is the day that people are being recommended, if you are voting by mail, to get that absentee ballot in the mail, because it will be the best case scenario if those absentee ballots are there at your county board of elections before or on election day, which is just a week away. It's Tuesday, November 3rd. Now, technically here in Ohio, you do have until November 2nd to mail that ballot, but if that's what you're going to do, you need to go into a post office and get that envelope actually time-stamped. Don't be dropping it in a mail drop box, for example, on November 2nd, because it does need to be postmarked, date stamped by November 2nd, and arrive at your county board of elections by November 13th in order to be counted. I have created a step-by-step video explaining to you how to fill out your absentee ballot. A couple key points you need to remember. Make sure that ID envelope is sealed. Also, check for the postage that's required. In some places in Cuyahoga County, 2 stamps are required because you need 70 cents of postage. In other places, it's 55 cents, which is your classic forever stamp. So check your city, check your envelope inside your absentee ballot, see what is required. That's up on WKYC.com if you want to make sure you dot all your I's and cross all your T's, because what you don't want to happen is for your absentee ballot to make it to the County Board of Elections and them to contact you and tell you there's some kind of an error with the ballot that you have to correct, and then you're left scrambling leading up to Election Day. Here is some good news, by the way, on Election Day. If you are planning on voting in person at the polls on Election Day in the greater Cleveland area, you can ride the RTA for free. This includes buses, trains, and paratransit. This is thanks to a $75,000 grant to the Greater Cleveland Transit Authority and free rides on Election Day. That came from the Cleveland Foundation. We got news of that today. Other cities that are offering this include Dayton, Columbus, Akron, and Toledo. Everybody pulling out the stops to make sure that people can get to those polls on Election Day. Here's a note, though. If you ride the paratransit, RTA is reminding people to schedule that well in advance of Tuesday, which is the normal process there. And you do need to wear a mask while you're waiting for your transit and also while you are on that public transit. Speaking of masks, COVID-19, of course, continues to be a concern, and North Royalton parents are very upset with the school district's plan to move forward in the middle of the ongoing pandemic. So, as we knew, Thursday, Governor Mike DeWine announced that many more counties, a total of 38 counties, are now at the red level, and several counties are on the watch list for potentially moving to that level 4, the highest level in that public health advisory system when it comes to the COVID-19 status. With Cuyahoga County being at that position, many schools have triggered contingency plans. Well, North Royalton is one of them, and they have moved to a completely virtual situation, but parents are not happy about that because, for example, right next door in Strongsville City Schools have all of its students back in the classroom. One parent told 3 News, restaurants are open, stores are open, bars are open, but schools, which are the most crucial to getting the education for children, are not open. Why are those kids not back in school? That particular parent said that virtual learning is taking a mental health toll on her children. She's very frustrated with the district for not providing another option for her. She says that she knows that there are plenty of families that feel that virtual learning is best, and that's okay, but what she's asking for is a choice. But here is the situation in the schools here in Ohio. There is no mandate. The Cuyahoga County Board of Health has offered guidance to schools, but it hasn't provided a blanket set of rules, and it has left it up to the schools to develop their own plans. So these schools have developed contingency plans, and some of those plans are being put in place now that the cases continue to rise and rise, with record days, multiple record days in a row of new cases of COVID-19 here in Ohio over the past couple weeks, several days in a row where there have been more than 2,000 new daily reported cases, and officials warning that what will be coming next will be death numbers on the rise as those hospitalization numbers rise. And it's a no-win situation if you ask the school officials. Now, 3 News did reach out to North Royalton's administration about the decision not to offer any in-school option at this point, but 3 News has yet to hear back. The districts are really in a tough spot, especially when it comes to resources, because you not only have to have resources for in-school learning, but you also have resources that are necessary for online learning, and it has to be difficult to be splitting those resources and that time and attention and trying to figure out a plan, and I certainly don't envy anyone in that position. Now, as Ohio has gotten a new round of funding from the U.S. CARES Act, it doesn't look like any of that money is earmarked for elementary school through high school, but some of it is earmarked for higher education, and that plan has been approved by Ohio's controlling board. Governor Mike DeWine last week told us about his plan to provide almost $420 million worth of funding to small businesses, restaurant and bars, hospitals, higher education, and the arts and nonprofits, as well as Ohio families. Now, this again comes from money from the U.S. CARES Act, but not all of the money that Ohio has been allocated from the U.S. CARES Act has been put into a plan for how that will be spent. Governor Mike DeWine said that they are withholding planning for some of that money because the pandemic is such a fluid situation, and as we know, Congress has not been able to come through with a plan for increased support for the people around the country and the states. So some of that money is being held back to see where it might best be fit. But some of that funding will go to things like rent, mortgages, and water and sewer assistance, which is being called essential assistance, to help Ohioans stay in their homes and pay off bills that have been racking up in the COVID-19 pandemic when so many people are out of work. Now, for these particular areas of funding, there will be requirements and an application process. There are also requirements and an application process for the restaurants and bars and small businesses as well. That information will be available on coronavirus.ohio.gov. So you can find more information there. Of course, we do have that linked on wkyc.com. You can find that information on where you need to go and what those requirements are to be eligible to apply for that assistance. One more thing before we go, with it being the spooky season and Halloween right around the corner, one group has taken it upon themselves to find out what is the scariest movie ever made. So what they did was they ranked the top 35 scary movies based on average heart rate of the participants. This is a company called Broadband Choices, and then they found 50 people who were willing to take part in this. They got attached to a heart rate monitor, and they watched 120 hours of very spooky horror movies. Now, I'm not sure why anyone would want to do this, but they did find 50 people who were willing to do it. By the way, the movies that they had to watch were picked from critics' reviews and also from Reddit. So, you know, there was some really weird, twisted, scary stuff in there. Here was the winner, 2012's Sinister, which I haven't seen. No surprise there, because I am probably the biggest baby you will ever meet when it comes to scary movies. I haven't seen it, but the people who did watch it as part of this study had an average heart rate of 86 beats per minute and a spike of 131 beats per minute in one of the very scary jump scenes. Rounding out the top 3 were Insidious and The Conjuring at 2 and 3, which, no surprise there, also movies that I haven't seen. Now, I did take a quick scan of this top 35 ranking, which we have on wkyc.com and our WKYC app, and I have seen 2 of them. I have seen Scream, and I believe I've seen parts of Friday the 13th. I'm pretty sure that I did not watch that all the way through, but I do know that I've seen it because I have had nightmares about Freddy Krueger. So, this list, definitely not for me, but if you love your scary movies and you're looking for something to do between now and Halloween, or really just anytime, that's on wkyc.com and our WKYC app. That's it for your early edition of 3 News Now for Tuesday, October 27th. I'll be back here at 3 p.m. as soon as we get those updated numbers in from the Ohio Department of Health and the rest of your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. And here's your reminder, if you're not already, please subscribe to the 3 News Now with Stephanie Haney podcast. You can find it on all of your favorite podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, you name it, we're on there. I'll see you back here in just a little bit, everyone. Stay safe and be well. I'm Stephanie Haney.